And we are back. We have another episode of Pioneers and Builders in Jacksonville, Florida, with your host, Randall Thomas. We are continuing our nonprofit series. In today's nonprofit, we're going to be putting a spotlight on the Youth Crisis Center here in Jacksonville, Florida. I have Kim with me here today. We're really excited to dive in and kind of talk about all the things that YCC has been doing over the past, say, 40 years, and as we look into the future, how we intend to grow this nonprofit and reach out to as many people as humanly possible. So, Kim, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. When we first met, you and I, you told me you've been with this nonprofit for a long time.
Yes.
How long have you been with Youth Crisis Center?
This June will be 25 years.
25 years. And I guess I'll start off by asking, because in 2025, it's kind of rare to see somebody stay somewhere for 25 years. What's kept you there?
The mission. It's really about the mission. It's about helping our community. We have so many families in need, more so now than ever, that I have seen a lot of the changes over my 25 years being here, starting as a therapist and working in the community and working with a lot of a variety of families to where we are today, especially in our homelessness programs. And so the love of the work, and I have a lot more to go and just really enjoy my time here.
That's wonderful. I mean, it's kind of the name of the game, right? As long as you feel like you're bringing some purpose to the game, why leave?
Absolutely.
You talked about the mission. The mission's what's keeping you. What is the mission? What is it about YCC and the work you guys are doing in the community that's really being so polarizing to you to keep you around?
Well, we're all about creating a healthy environment, a healthy community. We're looking at helping families rise out of adversities. And so really just continuing to look at what the needs are of our community. And if we have the ability to serve a population or to create a new program that is always mission centric while helping the area, why not? And so that's what we're always looking for, is to partner with organizations and find out what's happening in our community and making sure that we're using the dollars that are being provided to us for good purpose. And so, like I said, we have a lot of additional opportunities coming our way. And so we're really very fortunate for such an amazing community that we're in.
Yeah, absolutely. The longer I've done this, the more I've realized Jacksonville's, as much as I didn't know it originally, we are a city of giving. We've
Yes.
done a really good job of making sure that we do our best to leave no person behind. Obviously, YCC is a big part of this. The mission sounds fantastic. And when we spoke, you guys started on a base principle that you were offering services to, I mean, it's in the name, right? Youths who were going through crisis situations.
Mm-hmm.
Can you expand on, that being the core principle of the nonprofit, what you guys do to help those that have been in those situations, and also how you help them avoid them in the future?
Sure. So within our last 50 years that we've evolved to now serving more than just children. And so, I think there's a misnomer in our agency name, but we now are looking specifically at young adults, not only just youth and children, but also families. And it's really critical that we make sure that we're taking care of the whole unit as much as possible to keep that unit intact. So our evolution now has been to expand to young adults. And to adults. And so if we have anyone that is raising a child, a teenager, a young adult, we want to make sure that we're helping them as much as we can. And so now we do have specific programs to be able to do so.
Yeah. And how are you finding them, or how are they finding you?
Through a variety of means. We have a website, so if folks have access to be able to look at a variety of information, we have all the information on there about the variety of programs. We have an information line that folks can inquire if they just have questions. They're coming through law enforcement as just folks that are reaching out to law enforcement asking questions of, here's what's going on with my family or my child, they're in crisis. And a crisis is really going to vary depending on the specific need of that family. And so it's not for us to define that, it's for the individual. Schools are a huge referral source for us. And so being the authorized agent in this area for the Department of Juvenile Justice for prevention programs, we have a specific purpose where schools are connecting with us for ungovernability, for truancy, school-related concerns, bullying, mental health issues. And so it's really a variety. We have a 24-hour hotline, referral line, as we call it, where we're always having a live person that's answering the calls. And so, it's just a variety of means. Other agencies that hear about us and may say, why don't you contact Youth Crisis Center and see if they're able to be of assistance? And so it's really runs the gamut of our community, and just making sure that the word is out there for what we do.
And for those who are hearing about you for the first time, or they're listening, they could be somebody who is potentially in crisis, or could be in crisis down the road, or we have somebody who wants to be a potential donor or a potential volunteer down the line as well. Can you help expand on what we're looking to identify in a crisis situation, like what counts as one, and also what the steps would be once the Youth Crisis Center and the party become engaged with one another? What do those steps look like after they become intertwined with your work?
So we really just ask for folks to contact us if they're finding out that there's any concern that's affecting their family, which really just it's a variety, right? So it could be homelessness, it could be truancy, it could be grief and loss, anxiety, a potential other mental health concern, running away. We're serving trafficking victims. We serve children with domestic violence. And so it's a variety, really, that we say is just causing a little bit of stress on the individual and or the family. They may not define it as a crisis. They may just say, you know what, something's going on. We want to check it out. We want to make sure that everything is okay. And if not, do you have services that can help us? And so by the expansion of who and what we provide, we feel that we have a variety of services that can help a variety of individuals with a variety of concerns. And so really the steps is a phone call. It's a call to say, hey, this is what's going on. Do you have any programs that can help me or can help my child or help my family? And if so, then our individuals that are taking those screening calls will then identify options for that family. And if we don't have anything of potential, to be able to help, then we are going to provide some resources of agencies in the community who can. If we do, then we will provide the steps for them to be able to engage. So whether that's making an appointment to come in for a counseling session, a case management session, to be admitted into a residential program that we have, to be admitted into our homeless shelter. It just really begins with an admission. And then there, we're really just asking a lot of questions, trying to figure out what's going on. How can we help? And what are you wanting out of the services that we provide? And just making sure that the individual has choices and that they're included in any of those decisions that we're making as far as what their outcomes are going to be.
Okay, that's great. That's absolutely wonderful. Is it fair to say that even if the problem seems minor in somebody's mind, that it's still worth it for them to make a phone call to Youth Crisis Center?
Absolutely, because you never know. Even if it's a matter of just putting tools in your toolbox for the future, it's always worth a phone call just to say, hey, is this something that I think I should check out? We want to equate it back. If you have a sore throat or you have a headache or you have a cold, you want to reach out to your doctor and find out, is this something that I need help with? It's the same thing for what we provide. Is this something that I can come in and talk with someone about? Or is there options for me? Or do you have resources to help me? Because again, we have the ability to make connections in the community as a warm handoff. And so if it's not something that we can provide, we want to make sure that they are receiving the proper care from our community partners as well. So it really is just a connection with us. It's a very simple process. And I always say it's better to reach out and ask than not to. Because you don't know, then something else occurs, and then I'm not going to ever say it's too late, but you want to make sure you're on more of the preventative side if possible.
So a lot of the value for somebody calling obviously is to receive care and services from Youth Crisis Center. However, if you are not the perfect fit for them in terms of providing the care that they need, you have strategic alliances throughout the city that you could say, listen, we are glad you called, but we know somebody that can take care of you and offer you better care than we can. And we think it's in your best interest for us to make that introduction. Is that
Absolutely.
fair?
Absolutely.
Okay. That's wonderful. And then follow-up question would be, we talked about the fact that we've kind of expanded past the youth. So we're into like teens, young adults, adulthood. How do we help get the word out to those who might be 20 years old and facing a situation, and having them understand that this is still a very good resource for them to call?
I think it's really outreach. We attend a lot of variety of health fairs, job fairs, community fairs, college fairs, really just outreach in our community. Looking at our website, making sure it's relevant, making sure that we're partnering with other agencies so that they can share the word if they happen to be serving young folks that are in those age brackets, whether it's employers or it's school or other agencies or other families that might be word of mouth. And so that's really important that we make sure that our outreach is on point and we're staying relevant in our community.
Okay. I can certainly help with that. I'll try to.
Mhm.
Here's a great question. You joined 25 years ago, which would have been late 99 or early 2000, and we're in the throes of 2025. As an organization, how has it evolved since you started to what we're at now?
We've definitely developed a pretty robust continuum of care model, I would suggest, meaning that the services might start now with preschool age, where we're in a variety of Head Start schools. When I started, the age group was a minimum of 10 years of age. Now we're at the age of 3, and we're working on actually a maternity independent living program we're looking to build here in the near future. We have funding for such. So now we're looking at babies, we're looking at pregnant moms, and so there's no age group any longer. As a minimum age. And so making sure that we're looking at all the needs in the area. So that certainly has evolved, looking at the types of programs, in a housing market that is really a struggle for folks right now. And so when I was here, yes, we had a variety of shelters. And now we have one single shelter, but we are actually the largest single shelter for what we do in our state, which is under Florida statute, Child in Need of Services and Family in Need of Services. And so, that's one major change there. The variety of counseling services that we offer has certainly expanded. And so we're in 5 counties now. We were in less counties when I started. And so it's really just looking at our footprint and the ages and again, back to the adulthood and how that's changed because we did not have adults when I first started.
The shelter piece alone, I just want to kind of go back to that. We went from a scattered shelter system to a centralized shelter system, and the shelter itself is the largest of its kind in the state of Florida. I just want to make sure I heard that correctly.
You did. Yes. We're 34 beds. We're 34 beds. And then we have a homeless young adult shelter that we've now just had to extend to 12 beds from 9 beds because of the housing crisis that we're in and the calls are not stopping. So we've expanded our beds there. We are currently at capacity and continuing to have calls. And so it's a matter of looking at resources and how we can better help more people in our community. Our transitional living has 2 beds available. And so, out of 20 beds, we are certainly nearing capacity there. And so the growth alone of just residential beds is certainly taken foot compared to where we were before. Just the number of people in general that we're serving and the lives that we're touching has greatly increased.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, just once again, just the shelter alone, the growth there. What is the average stay for the shelter?
Currently 11 days.
Okay. And when somebody goes through that program, I don't want to call it a program, but somebody comes in and they have a shelter, which is great. After the 11th day, on average speaking, what's their next step? Have they found, a place to live? Have they found a relative to stay with? How does that transition occur?
So the 11 days is for our children's crisis care program, which is what we call a shelter for our young children that are 10 to 17. So that's the 11-day average. And most of those individuals go back home. And that is our goal, is reunification. So typically these are families that are going through a variety of concerns. And for a respite period, the child is with us. And so they're receiving 24-hour supervision, meals, therapy, life skills, on-site schooling, recreational activities, and then they go home. So that's the norm. Our transitional living is about a year and a half. They could typically be here if they came in at 18, they could stay until their 22nd birthday. And we do have one young adult that's been with us 3 years. So this is home.
Okay.
And so for those young folks, they're coming in. And again, these are homeless individuals that we're trying to stabilize and develop self-sufficiency skills for them. So they're having not only an apartment that's on our campus, but they're also receiving life skills training. We're teaching them about employability. Several of them are still in high school. And so they're trying to complete their education or go on for post-secondary education. Mental health counseling is part of the programming as well. So they could be with us longer term. And then our House of Hope homeless shelter for young adults that's 18 to 24. They're here for several months. And the goal there is either transition them back home, if that's a choice that they want, transition them to our transitional living program to be home and more of a permanent environment, or to a safe space into the community. And so, again, they're more in the crisis state of being homeless. And so, just trying to de escalate what's going on, figure out what led to the homelessness, and then begin the healing process with them as much as we can with the counseling, the life skills, the housing, all of that. Once they're here, they have their bed, they're in their room, they have their space, and they're in a program. And then we're there to develop their transitional plan.
Yeah, the best follow-up question I can ask here, is there anything you guys don't do? Shelter, mental health, employability, life skills, mentorship. I mean, it seems like you guys are really giving somebody a single point of contact for a holistic view of what they need to be successful in life. So
Yes. Yeah.
what are you guys not doing?
I mean, I really feel it's important as a provider that we offer a continuum, because we've had some young folks that have been in our children's shelter, turned 18, they're out in the community, they come across a circumstance that leads them to need our services again. And some of them are coming back and living with us, and they're residents of ours, right? We're home, we're family for them, and this is their community. For others, they're coming in through other means. And, if a situation comes up, they know that, okay, I'm in counseling and something is going on. I need a little bit more intensive services. And so I have options within the Youth Crisis Center's system, if you will. And again, there's times that we have to refer out for specific needs, but if we can provide it on campus and we already have that continuity, that rapport, why not have it on our campus? And so that was really important for me. When I was a therapist, I would often have to refer families out because we didn't have that service. And I had the rapport with the individual, but we just simply couldn't continue to serve them. And it was extremely frustrating. And then the family had to feel like they were starting over. And so again, yes, there's a purpose that we need to refer to our partners, and we have some amazing ones that we refer to in our area. But I really feel strongly that if we have it on our campus, why not keep it within our campus if that's what the families choose?
Yeah. I want to be the first one to say I think you're doing an amazing job. So
Thank you.
great work. This is fantastic. This is exactly why this podcast exists. I know that you're popular here in Jacksonville, and I know a lot of people know who you are. But if one person in town doesn't know who you are, I think that's one too many. So we're going to do our best here to help get some extra eyeballs on you. But out of the gate right now, I just want to be the first one to say, great work. This is
Thank you.
awesome.
Thank you. I
Oh, you're
appreciate
very
it.
welcome. Of course. A couple of questions, and then we have some events to get into, which I'm excited to talk about. Earlier, we really touched on the fact you've been here for 25 years, and you did a great job explaining how it's evolved over the last 2.5 decades. Our first question would be, what's your favorite success story as it pertains to your time here so far?
It brings me back to a young man who was in our transitional living program. He had some unique physical challenges that he was diagnosed rather late with, and he was living in our transitional living program. And we were family. We were home. He lost his mom. He lost his grandmother. He turned to a neighboring partner to find out, where can I go? I'm homeless now, and I have these physical challenges. And he just turned 18. And so thankfully, he was referred to us, and he was admitted into our Touchstone Village transitional living program. And throughout his time, we were able to connect with a medical provider to make sure that his living space was accommodating for him. He lived with us for 3 years. He graduated from University of North Florida. Just an outstanding young man, moved into the community and is extremely successful. And so it just, to see that we were able to take a young person who was hopeless and helpless and also had challenges at that time, and make sure that he was successful and continuing his journey. It's just amazing. And it's a story I'll always remember.
So, man, that's a good one. It's going to be my next question. Is a real fun one. It's easy to talk about what people are doing. It's completely different to see what people are doing. When you take tours of nonprofits and you see the work that's being done and the lives that are affected in a very positive way, and you think to yourself, okay, well, if this organization did not exist, what position would this person be in? And so my question is, in the work you've done and what you've seen in your success stories, how has the impact you've made you feel?
Whole, just looking at, my life and where I started and what led me to be in this field. I always knew I wanted to work with children. I always knew that I wanted to lead amazing people. I love policy. I love working with our legislators. I love looking at how can my knowledge as a licensed social worker impact the lives of others and grow it larger. And so, I've been CEO now 10 years. And so when I remember being interviewed and asked, will I miss being a provider, a therapist? Yes, I do. I miss at times working individually with the lives of individuals, but I feel like my purpose is bigger. And I feel like now I'm able to take something that I know with my knowledge and apply it into a business model and looking at policy. And so I feel like I'm impacting our families and our community in a much larger scale, which ultimately impacts the individuals. And so for me, I get great joy from that each and every day.
I love that. I mean, I just do. I go back to this, man. I'm just sometimes I'm dumbfounded. When you and I have spoken, I made this pivot in PB and Jacks to these nonprofits, and you mentioned that it makes you feel whole. I told somebody the other day, I said, I feel more purpose in this now than I felt serving my country. That's just a wild thing to say out loud. It just is. But I wasn't lying. You know, I've done some tours and I've seen some things, and I've done some tours of some nonprofits, I should say, and seen how, they're taking care of people who can't take care of themselves. And, I really feel that we need to spread the word and the awareness of that. And so far, we've actually had some success stories in pairing nonprofits together just from interviewing them on the show and saying, like, okay, what's the next step for you? And they tell us what their next step is or what they want it to be. I'm like, well, instead of you building out that infrastructure, why don't I just put you in touch with so and so and y'all strategically align and really grow out what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had the chance to do that a couple of times already. It's really made me feel good, and the word whole, pretty good description of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so for you to feel that about the work you're doing tells me that every day you're showing up to work, you're putting your heart and your soul into it, and making sure that you're reaching every possible person you can and giving them the best care that in the world, right? That you possibly can.
Right.
So great answer. Thank you. Last thing before we get into the events, because you were talking about policy, you like being a part of policy. What kind of work is that? Like, is this a consistent part of being the CEO? Are you consistently working with the city, working with the state? Are you consistently drafting new legislation based on how the YCC is growing and the different types of things you're trying to implement in the nonprofit? Just like a blanket overview of what your work with the policy looks like.
Examples have been me reaching out to various legislators to talk about comments and legislation that I've seen either be passed or concerns that I see, whether it's personally or professionally. I put my ears and eyes out in our community and especially in our agency to find out what's the climate. Because as I'm meeting with them, and I do go to Tallahassee, I just came back a week or so ago from meeting with quite a few of them. They ask me questions, I ask them questions, and so for me, it's just asking what's the temperature like, what is the policy looking like, surrounding a variety of concerns. This past year, I was able to actually assist in some revisions of statute. And so that's really important for me that I'm able to contribute what I see of what's happening in our community or what's happening in our agencies to real life. And so you're able to take, what is and look at something that was as far as former statute and statutory language and make it make sense, whether it's adopted or it's revised or they accept my suggestions. I feel like I'm given an opportunity to have input, and that's huge. And so for me, I just was reading about some other language that just was changed in statute last year. And how is that going to impact the landscape of our community? How is it going to impact the infrastructure of the agency? And so I like to have those conversations with legislators or better reading of it and understanding what that means. I think it's critical to what we do. And so if I'm able, to lend eyes to something that I feel that can help our community, help our agency, I'm going to do that. And so again, back to the statute this year, it was extremely rewarding that I was asked, can you take a look at this and see if there's any revisions? And I had quite a few. Whether they're adopted or accepted by legislators, I don't know yet. because the bill hasn't been filed or is about to be filed. So I enjoy that because it's the eyes and ears. Tallahassee knows what they each have in their own community, but being able to hear from the providers to make those critical changes, I think is huge. And I just appreciate that we have a system that affords those opportunities.
And there's one little thing we kind of left out, and all the work you're doing, even through legislation and just through expansion. We as in Youth Crisis Center, have expanded our philanthropy to a veteran focused program,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
It's called SNAP.
Yes.
Can you enlighten us on what SNAP is and why it came to be?
Sure. SNAP stands for Stop Now and Plan, and it's an evidence-based model aimed to work with young folks. For us, it's ages 6 to 11 for children that you might find they're not able to regulate their emotions, meaning they're in the classroom setting, they get upset, they don't know what to do with how they're feeling, and so they react, and then they get into trouble. Might be happening in daycares or at home. So Stop Now and Plan has a very specific curriculum aimed at teaching these young folks, yes, it's okay to have these emotions, but what do you do with it? And I think that's huge in our society. And not only that, I love this program because there's a parental component to it. And so for our SNAP program, we're working with the children in one classroom of teaching them those skills, but we're also working with the families to teach them how to understand their child and how to build that relationship or develop that relationship. And so, it removes all barriers. We provide meals, we have sibling care. And so we've evolved that program now to fathers. It's called SNAP Fatherhood. And it's an initiative we started last year to working with fathers or father figures coming out of incarceration. And so there's some unique challenges there with, having the father come back into the home, rebuilding a relationship, depending on how long ago they were away from the family. Then we developed this past year looking at that model, meeting with some variety of stakeholders. And it makes sense that we now look at the specific challenges and unique needs of our military, our veterans, and our law enforcement officers. There's a lot of things that they see and experience, time away from home, the transitions around new areas or having to move or come back, vicarious traumas, a lot of that. And how does that not only impact the individual, but the family? And so we have just filed for appropriations request, both in the House and Senate, to hopefully have funded what we call SNAP Heroes. So it's essentially taking the same curriculum that we're working with our children and we're working with our families, and we're targeting those parties that I mentioned. And how do we help them during a time of need, and teaching them the curriculum that has been around for a while that we know works. Not only that, but also being able to offer mental health counseling. We know there's a lot of PTSD, there's depression, anxiety, suicidal tendencies, all of that. And yes, that's affecting the individual, but it ultimately is affecting the family. And so now offering mental health, offering case management. But again, and we're just super excited, hope that that program is funded this next year, so that we really can target our heroes.
Yeah, I mean, if SNAP is evidence based and now we have three prongs to it, clearly you guys have done some work in this field and have seen the results of it. So I assume that it works and you've seen it across two different spectrums. Now we're just trying to add it to our veteran population as well. So
Yes.
I think that's wonderful. What you were talking about, hoping to get funded. Great segue question. YCC as a whole, and maybe even these individual programs, how are you currently funded?
Through a variety of means. So we have a large portion is funded by the state of Florida. We have some federal dollars, we have local dollars, we have city dollars, we have foundations, and then we have our individual donors. We are also an agency that accepts Medicaid and commercial insurances for our mental health program. So really there's just a variety of means. We apply for grants, we apply for state dollars through appropriations. So it's really just a mix.
And how, just from the financial perspective, I know outreach we can certainly help with, but if people wanted to donate or partner with you in any way, how much, I don't want to say how much, but what would be the impact? How would that go towards the whole pie
Mhm.
of your funding from the individual donor perspective? And I don't know, can you just walk through that process? I'm sure you have quite a few.
I would say the short gap this past year is dealing with our homelessness population and our programs, dollars that we didn't receive or we received in another category when you apply. So We're really a shortfall in our House of Hope program. That's our emergency shelter for young adults. Running a 24-hour program with mental health services and life skills and seeing the impact we're making with a shortfall is rather sad. So we're always looking for opportunities for donations there or other grant opportunities. And so, there's means that we have a giving platform on our website. And if we have other folks that really is just saying, hey, I can't, but I know someone who can, or I know someone that you might partner with, is always huge. And so it never hurts to make the ask or make the connection to assist. But that for this year is really our shortfall. Moving forward, we're really excited to be able to say that we're about to break ground on a program called the Mills, which is maternity independent living and life skills. And so we're about to build tiny homes for homeless moms and their little ones, or pregnant moms that are ages 18 to 24. And that really grew from a need where we were having a tremendous amount of calls from these homeless young moms that are really looking for a place that's safe for them to raise their children. And so we're really excited, but we will begin looking for operational support for that program as well in the near future.
Wonderful. I know we have a big fundraising event coming up. We have a golf tournament that I know that we're excited to launch, and we've got quite a few people that are already signed up to do it. And I just want to open the floor a little bit because it's coming up, and I want to make sure we get the word out. Talk to us about the golf tournament. I know we've got a very special guest who's leading the charge on that, and maybe some information on where people can go if they want to sponsor or sign up to play.
Absolutely. So we have partnered with the Hayden Hurst Family Foundation. And we met Hayden, I believe now it's been 6 years that we've been having this golf tournament where we're the beneficiary of the dollars raised. And Hayden has a foundation that is really looking at how do we destigmatize mental health? How do we ensure that we're providing enough services for suicide prevention, suicide awareness, veteran suicide and the like. And so really excited that we're, launching the golf tournament here. I want to say it's in 2 weeks. It's March 3rd. And so we have a live auction that is going to be posted on our website if it's not already on there, where folks can go and actually bid on items. And we have some amazing items that are out there, including lovely trips and memorabilia, sports memorabilia. And so all of those funds that are raised go to the Family Foundation. And then we are the beneficiary of a portion of those proceeds. And then that goes back into our operational support. And as I mentioned, the real big need right now is our House of Hope program. So it's a huge opportunity, not only to have an amazing fun time, that's for two very important missions. The mission that Hayden's Foundation has, again, for mental health support and suicide prevention and an awareness around destigmatizing mental illness, and then a portion back to us and what we do. And so really excited. This is an amazing family with an amazing mission, and we're certainly honored to continue to have that partnership.
And I know Hayden's from Jacksonville. I think he went to Bowles.
Yes.
So yeah, you're right. To have somebody of that caliber who's been very public about mental health is fantastic. And the fact that the proceeds are going to help the causes that you guys are doing, even better in my eyes. Where is the golf tournament?
This year it's going to be at Marsh Landing Country Club.
Okay. And then I know March 3rd.
March.
All the details, I assume, are on the website if people want to kind of go take a look right now.
Yes. We'd love for them to take a look at what we have offered. Again, just some outstanding opportunities for folks to not only purchase some fantastic items, but for a great cause. And so that all the details will be on the website that they can visit, which is youthcrisiscenter.org. And if they have any questions, just, they can reach out to us at our phone number, or we have an info page on our website that they can ask questions as well.
Wonderful. I'll make sure that all of that's in the show notes.
Okay.
Any social channels, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, anything
Facebook,
like that?
Yes. Facebook. It's just our agency name,
Okay.
Youth Crisis Center. Yeah.
Okay. And then any other fundraising efforts in 2020 we should make people aware of?
Not a specific event at this moment. We've really looked at what the purpose is if YCC were to hold our own events, but it's really about, I think the next one is going to certainly be the open house of the Mills, which we're hoping to open and launch late summer, early fall. So that will be the next thing to stay tuned for.
That is going to be awesome. What side of town is that looking like it's going to be on?
It's going to be built on our campus on the south side. So
Oh, man, this
we're
is great.
really excited and just so grateful for the support that we've received for it. And it's really important we get this up because the calls are coming in. We need to make sure we are helping our young folks.
Yep. Yeah, that's going to be an exciting time. I know that we're aiming to help others through the work of the nonprofit. I know you guys do a lot with employability and the shelter work and stuff like that. Are you ever in need of volunteers? And if so, what kind of specialties would you be seeking?
We do have different opportunities for volunteers. You know, it's just really a matter of folks calling and just finding out what are their interests. I don't have a list per se. I will say that we have had a need for a food pantry and a clothing pantry, if you will, clothing closet. And so we are looking for some canned goods for individuals as they're coming through and in our need. But as far as with volunteerism, it's just really best that they reach out depending on what's going on at that time of year. I think it's really critical as we get into certain months of the year that then we have specific volunteer needs, back to school opportunities, winter wear activities, Christmas, things of the like, where we've had folks that have really come out to assist. Um, so at this point, I would just suggest that folks call and say, this is something I'm interested in. Is this something that you can help? Most often, folks are interested in working with the kids, but we do have some background screening and things that we have to pay attention to with policy. And so that sometimes is not an opportunity, but as far as anything that we do goes back to the kids itself. And so it's always of assistance. So I would just suggest folks call if they have a desire to help out and see how we can best make a partnership and a fit for them.
Okay. Absolutely. I feel like I'm forgetting something here. I know that we've gone through the programs and the full gamut of the work you do. I feel like I'm leaving something on the table here. Is there anything I missed?
We are building a new office in St. Augustine. And so we're a
There we
proud
go.
partner of the West Augustine area. We're opening a clinic there and partnering with other agencies such as the YMCA, Epic Behavioral, and UF Flagler. And
There we
so that
go.
has broken
This was a
ground.
this was a big one. This was
It
like the
was.
biggest one because everybody's going to have access to all of these different resources all in the same like
Yes. Yes. So we're very grateful that we were
yeah.
afforded an opportunity to come to the table to launch that. And so that should be opening in the fall, I believe. And really, really excited because that's going to be an amazing opportunity there where, not just referring, but we're in the community for folks that so much need our services. So,
Yeah, let's
yeah,
unpack that.
we're
So you
busy.
have a you're going to be in a building that's in St. Augustine and you're going to be sharing that building with, from my understanding, three incredibly valuable resources. And you already alluded to one, which is the Y.
Mm-hmm.
So people are going to have access to um, exercise, personal training, things of that nature. But then is there a university that's going to be in the building?
It's UF Health.
UF Health, yeah.
So they're
And
going to be
so,
upstairs. So we're going to be downstairs next door to the Y. And then upstairs will be Epic Behavioral Health and then UF Flagler. So that will be huge for us, and especially looking at substance abuse, mental health, health partnerships, and wellness. So it's such an amazing group of folks to be able to be partnering with.
and you guys are going into it with a joint partnership, correct? Like everybody's on the same page that they're there to help each other.
Right. Yeah. Right in the community. Right in the community. Yes. Very exciting times.
Kim, can you believe I almost forgot that?
Yeah. One small thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
as I
would have.
said, it's just making sure that we're in the spaces that we can be in and continuing to grow our partnership. And for our strategic plan, I would love to do that in all the counties that we're in. And again, we can't do it alone. And so being able to say, we launched a program a couple years ago with Head Start. And so they're, the experts in the academic realm and looking at us adding our mental health services. And so that's a partnership that we launched. Now we're in year 2 of being in Head Starts. And so again, it's just really incredible work that not only we are doing, but others are doing and how we can come together for the whole.
Yeah. For anybody unfamiliar with Head Start, can you explain what that is, who they are and then what that partnership is?
Sure. They're locally here with Lutheran Services of Florida, and it's an academic program for young families and young kids. They are 0 to 5 age group. And so many times you'll see that there's a variety of concerns that these individuals come with, and just really it's a school and educational program being able to assist them. And so for us, it's coming into their areas and being able to monitor what's happening in the classroom. How can we be a mental health support and assistance to them so that their teachers can teach? As you start to see the disruptions and you start to see they get into the elementary, into the middle and junior high, if you can combat this early on, it's of greater good. And so they provided amazing work with these little bitties and their families and giving them academic assistance and so forth. And so being able to pair the academics with the mental health and hopefully combat if there's any issues early on, it's just been a beautiful relationship, in my opinion. So I'm grateful for that as well. And that was the training that I had in my graduate program. And so really wanted to try to kick that off in Jacksonville was extremely important. And so I reached out to several folks looking for that opportunity. We're not in the education world. That's not our expertise. And so talking with Head Start, it seemed like a logical place to be able to provide that. And so it's really been very good. I believe at this point we're in 8 different Head Start schools, but they do amazing work with our little ones in our community.
I mean, this is the hallmark of what I'm saying, like in terms of being able to strategize and strategically align with other entities, businesses, nonprofits, et cetera, within the city to become a more powerful nonprofit and be able to service more people. So yes, I mean, just from this conversation alone, like what it was 25 years ago, what you've turned it into is absolutely incredible. I can't wait to see what the next 10 years, 15, 20 years hold as well. Just if we can continue this momentum and this growth, we might be helping a ton of people.
Absolutely. Would love it for sure.
Okay. Did I miss anything else?
I think that's
Okay. Couple of things. Number one, I do want to make sure that I shout out Caleb Garrett for putting this together. Caleb's on the board with me at PS27, and he's also on the board with you at YCC. He's also a PB and Jax alumni. We had him on the show. He spoke so highly of YCC. I said, when we got off the call, I said, man, I really need you to make an intro. And he did. And, you and I have been able to chat, and it's been great. Mm-hmm. So shout out to Caleb. Secondly, I want to ask if people are very, they listen to this and they watch this and they're very interested, and they want to find you, they want to find Kim. I know that we can take them to the website, but is there anywhere else we can send them if they're trying to reach out to volunteer, donate, et cetera, et cetera?
Sure. They can email me. Kim, Kim at ycc.org. Probably the easiest email around. Sure. They could reach out, call our number. They'll connect me, with the individual. I'd love to chat.
Okay. Well, I want to reiterate, you're doing great.
Thank you.
I love it. I'm very proud. I'm very proud of the work you've done. I hope you are as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Obviously, I'm a proud YCC partner now. I'm going to be singing your praises and making sure that we get the word out every chance we can for what you're doing. And if there's anything you need from me, say the word.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I really appreciate the connection that Caleb did make. And it's just been great to get to know you and have this show today. And I welcome the opportunity for future too.
Oh, I'd love nothing more than for us to circle back around on this, and especially when we get the mills opened and we get the St. Augustine, the building up and running and whatnot. I can't wait to come back and revisit this and talk about how much impact it's making.
Absolutely. Love it.
All right. Kim, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and
yes,
we'll certainly be in touch.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Right. You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.